Well, there was one question which troubled me as an investor a lot for last 20 years, and it has been always asked by almost all of the clients as a consultant. कितना return मिलेगा? So whenever we go for any, I used to go for any joint call, the first question that was asked was, कि इस product पे कितना return मिलेगा? When I tried to figure this out, the answer was very vague and kept on changing. I was doing investments for my future, but only past history was available of different investments and different returns. Each advisor has a different view, and no one could tell what will be the return in the specific product in future, or for the matter, which investment should I be investing, considering I need money not tomorrow but after a certain period. But one thing was always talked by everyone, and that was inflation. You need to have inflation beating returns. This was one question that every individual or any consultant used to say. So we focused on this word inflation. Then we at Dream Invest started monitoring inflation, and we drew investment history in India and tried to work out on certain inferences. This is where the idea of understanding investment came. For the first time, we came up with the concept of an education session, understanding investment. We realized the need for the education session and understanding the difference between investment and putting money in one product. Now, for this matter, we are starting a series of 13 different sessions on different topics, starting from know your investment, your tax regime, outgo management, investment record keeping, wealth management, understanding different investment schemes. So this will be 13 different sessions which we will be conducting every fortnightly. We will be streaming them on Zoom as well as on YouTube live for you all. The first topic of that today is know your investment returns. The first question that any investor is to ask is, what is the return under different products that I'm investing? May it be a mutual fund, a PPF, or an LIC policy, or a postal investment, or even gold or bond. What is the return that I'm going to get? And this is where we are basically focusing on for the today's session. Before I enter into the session and before we go into certain technical data to understand what can be the return on any investment, let us first try to see certain activities. Let us first try to understand there is a large difference between long-term wealth creation and short-term growth opportunities. There is a large difference between long-term wealth creation and short-term opportunities. Our primary goal is to achieve financial stability. This is what Dream Invest basically is focusing on. Our primary goal is to achieve financial stability, fulfill all goals in any eventuality, and generate optimum returns on investment with lowest possible anxiety. We are not focusing on anything that is direct marketing, direct equities, or gambling. We are purely focusing on creating an investment pathway for you. Okay, let us move ahead. Okay, we all know this. One minute. Okay, we all know this. Newton's third law. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Basically, when we talk on this is now what does this has in connect to finance or investment? Specifically, it tells you that whatever we do, we as an individual is on one side, and the rest of the economy or the world or the other things, maybe the company or the product that we are selecting, is on the other side of our investment. So whatever actions we do, the market or the economy is going to give an equal and opposite reaction to us. So if you need to first understand, there are two forces, you and the rest of the world. We are the primary factor. We are the primary factor who are connected with different people, may it be the advisor, may it be the company where you are doing investments, It can be with the product that you have purchased. You like some products, don't like some products, and finally the economy at large. These are the external factors that focus on. Each factor has a prominent role to play. You has a prominent role to play, as well as the external factors has a prominent role to play in our investment journey, and they all are connected with each other. Let us first come and try to look into the external factors. Now, what are the external factors? The product that you select, the company, the economy where we are going to investments. These are all external factors. They are specifically, they play a very technical role in our investments, in our wealth creation. They are common to all people. They are not biased, and they don't know that we exist. No external factor knows you as an individual. It is going to be common for all people. Now, what matters that in this external factor, you and I, what we do actually, what actions we take actually will decide the reaction of this external factor. In the due course of the session, we'll try to understand the threats and opportunities in the external factors and what exactly we need to work on that. And we'll also try to understand the most important part, that is we as an investor. So let us try to understand our strengths and weaknesses, how we can work on our strengths, how we can reduce our weaknesses, focus on the opportunities in the external world, and try to use the economy, the product, and the company in the best way. Let us come to the external factor. The first external factor is product. Normally असं होतं, when we talk about product, we normally go and ask, okay, what is the product and how much return it will give? That is the first question that we need to ask, that we ask as an investor. But it is not that way. The product is not the thing that gives you return in the economy. Let us first try to understand what doesn't give us return. The product doesn't give us return in the economy. The product is the vehicle on which we ride into the economy. So for example, what does the product do then? The product basically answers my concerns. What is my concern? What are the problems as an investor? I have a habit issue. I need a product which is fixed, which is non-liquidable. I have certain concerns. If I'm there or not there, my money should be made available. I have a concern of tax. I have a concern of my family not able to handle the money, a huge lot of money. These all things have to be addressed by the product. So when I go and select a product, the first question that I will ask about the product is, what is the use of that product in my investment journey? What is the use of that product in my investment journey? And the second question for the product will be, where does the product stand up in my asset allocation? So as we move from the product, then we come to the company. The product which you invest in money or which you ride on takes the money to the company. Now when we come to the company, normally we feel again the company is giving me returns. But it is not that way. Company is a gateway of going into the economy. So through the product, the money comes to the company and the company shifts the money into the economy. So company is only a small window of taking my money out from my pocket through a product to the economy. Then what is the role of the company here? The role of the company is to keep optimum cost. When I'm using it as a gateway, the charges that it takes from me should be minimum for that gateway. It should reduce my risk in the market. It should have very clear transparency, and it should have a variety of products for me, so I can address my different concerns under the same company. So I need not go into multiple companies for investment. And the most important part of the company should be, it should provide me ease of service. It should be accessible anytime, anywhere. So these are the major takeaways for the company. What is the standing of the company? What is the network of the company? And what is the service support? My investment journey is started today and it will be there for next 30, 35, 40 years. So the company should exist till that period. And the second question is, what is the operating cost and transparency of the company? Now, as we move the money from the product to the company, it actually goes into economy. And this is where actually our returns come from. So if you try to understand, the return on our investment does not come from a product, it does not come from the company, it actually comes from the economy. Economy is common to all people. We use the product through the company, park our money into the economy. Now, what is economy? Economy is a platform where you and I exist today on the on the money front. Economy has its own growth story to continue so that people earn more money. The major factor of economy is to keep the inflation in control and keep the economic cycle going on continuously. What we say, the GDP going up, the GDP going down. And the major work of the economy is to balance the returns in different asset classes. So something going up, it has to pull it down, take other thing which is down, going up. So this is where the economy will balance your investments in different asset classes. Let us try to know here that the economy doesn't know I exist here. Economy is common to all people. They don't know I am there, so it is not going to work against me. It is I who might do some actions where the economy may or may not work against me. So which is primarily my role as an investor that matters a lot. Now, so then what is my role as an investor? My role specifically is to have a good investment habit, follow the steps of finance and investment processes, understand when I am needing money. As I told you in the beginning of the session, I'm not talking about anything gambling or short-term opportunity. The market fell down 25% and I'm just parking in 2 lakhs to create 4 lakhs within the next 2 years. I'm talking 15 years down the line, my education, 25 years down the line, my retirement and my existence, my transfer of wealth to my next generation, a total long-term process. So it is something very different from a short-term opportunity in investment. Here, the person who is connecting you to all this is your advisor. He is the person who connects you with the external environment made with the product or the company or the economy. And he also safeguards you from you. Now, what does it mean? Safeguarding me from me. Because I, in the investment journey, when I see the external market not supporting me or going against me, there is a tendency I might stop certain investments. I might go into wrong decision-making process. That is where the need of an advisor comes into picture, and he should help me to work out on this. Now, what are the questions that you need to ask an advisor? How can you help me in the investment journey? That is the first question. Normally, whenever an advisor comes, someone will say, what are the best options available with you? No, the first question you need to ask an advisor is, how much can you help me in the investment journey? What is the knowledge or the skill or the experience that you have for it? So this is basically related to the intermediaries that support us. Now, our core focus and the session of the topic of our session today is how are returns made in different products. So let us move further on this, and let us focus the factor of economy where the actual return is going to come. The economy plays a fundamental role in the growth story. The GDP moving up or the GDP going down, that is where the wealth is created or not created. And when we are talking economy, there is one major thing that comes in the economy and which is inherent with the economy, and that is inflation. There is always a war going on between money and goods. Now, what is inflation? Inflation basically is the increase of value. Inflation is basically the increase of value of a good or a service that you want to buy for. Now, this happens in 3 different ways. First we call demand and pull. Now, what is demand and pull? The goods are less and the money is more in the economy. So automatically, the person who has more money is ready to pay a higher price for the same goods. This is where basically the demand pull supply works in the economy. The second concept is the cost push, where the cost of the raw materials over a period of time go up, and automatically the price of the finished products also go up. And third is where the services and wages, that is the built-in costs going up, the salaries going up, the basic expenses going up, the rents and other expenses going up, and that adds to the basic cost. All these 3 things put together create inflation. Inflation is, as I told you, is always in a war. There's always a war going on between money and goods, basically. Whatever wealth we create over a period of time, inflation erodes it over a period of time. But let us also understand, inflation also helps you to create wealth, because it is only inflation can give you higher salaries. If there is no inflation, your salaries will always be stagnant. If there is no inflation, the business incomes will always be stagnant. So inflation is not a villain only. It is also a supporting part for my total investment. If we understand this word properly, and I'm going to give more emphasis on this, if we understand this word properly, inflation as such, because it is easy to understand as a subject. Second, it is the data for that is available regularly with prehistory as well as future predictions, and that is one thing which is authentically available in the open market, which we know, which cannot be manipulated. So the inflation basically is the driving force between in your economy where your money will be created or won't be created. Now this is what we call the bull of the inflation. The inflation bull specifically drives the interest rate in the market and smashes the capital market. It basically drives the interest rate. As inflation goes up, the interest rate will go up. As the inflation will fall down, RBI reduces the interest rate. So this is where inflation controls the interest rates in the market, and inflation also has a positive or a negative effect on the capital market. Now what is the capital market? You can say equity, gold, real estate, these are all capital markets. Inflation also has an effect on them as well as on your bank FDs, interest rates, your PPF interest rates and everything. So if you understand inflation properly, it is the key to understanding returns on any investment. So if we try to keep a track on inflation, let us try to see what relationships or relativity inflation has with different investment products. Before that, let us try to understand two different concepts or two different types of investment products. One, what we say, let us take an example of a SBI bank deposit. Okay, you go to SBI and you want to keep a deposit there, say, let us say. Okay, when I keep a deposit in SBI gives me a certain rate of interest. Let us say the current interest rate is around 5.5%. So when SBI takes money from me at 5.5%, SBI doesn't keep the money with him. And SBI will give this money as a loan to someone else. So SBI will put up some administration expenses in it, let us say 3% administration expenses, and SBI hands this money to some business person at 8.5%. Now when this business person takes that money, he uses that money to produce some goods and create a final product which is utilized, which is sells in the market and utilized by the consumer. The consumer pays back to the business pays back to the bank, and the bank pays back to you. Now in this total change, in this total process, if you see, it's a win-win situation for all. You as a depositor, you have got money. The bank has earned 2 or 3% on the administration expenses. The businessman has earned profit, and at the end of the day, the consumer has also got the benefit of the product. Now this is called a win-win situation, and this type of investments are called sensible investments. Here the responsibility, the good faith and the risk is all with the bank. You don't have any risk. You don't have to go to the businessman and get the money from him. The total responsibility, good faith and risk is kept by the bank. What I carry as an investor is just the interest risk. Now this is what we call a sensible investment. The products under this category are life insurance products, provident funds, bank deposits, postal investments and debt mutual funds. They come under this category. You can also call this category as an income category. Whenever I have done calls with you, we have discussed this in your asset allocation. Then the other way of looking at it is the sentimental product. Now here what happens, instead of taking an SBI deposit, I go and buy SBI shares with the same value. Now I am going to buy the share in the open market. So when I go and buy the share from the open market, there is only one transaction. I have a positive sentiment that the SBI will perform better and give me better share price in the coming days. The person who is going to sell has a negative sentiment of the bank that it might not perform, and that is where the transaction happens. If all investors are having a single sentiment, then there won't be any transaction in the equity market or in the capital market. So these investments are called sentimental investments. These are emotional investments. They work on your emotional cycles. These are the different cycles, starting from excitement, exhilaration, euphoria, up to anxiety, negative cycles, depression, and again coming back to the positive cycles. This is where you need me as an advisor. If you see what happened post-COVID, market dropped into from on 15th of March to around in 8 days it came down to 25,000 Sensex, and there was a rush from the callers what to do on the investment, and I told, okay, wait, this is the time when you have to wait in the market. And that my just one line talking to you, just wait, it will recover over a period of time, help you to keep the money there, and the market has recovered in next 50, next one and a half. So this is where sentiments play a lot in the market. Under the sentimental market, basically, the responsibility and the risk as an investor is purely with that investor. It is purely with that investment. And this changes. It is emotional. Today, I have a positive feel for one company. Maybe 8 days down the line, if I get some news, I might have a negative feedback for that same company. So this is cyclic and this is emotional, and this keeps on changing continuously. So the sensible investment returns, the returns on a sensible investment product. Okay, let us try to see the products which are here. The stocks, equity mutual funds, ULIP, real estate, commodities and antiques come under the sentimental investment products. Now, if you bifurcate these two verticals, you will see the real return or the real growth or the zero risk growth, what we say, comes under the sensible investment product. And as you add sentiment to it, and as you start taking risk on your investment, with the sentiment, with your sentimental decision, that is called a risk return on it. So any investment has two components. Any return of your investment has two components: a sensible return on that of that component, which comes common from the market, and to it adds my sentimental value to it. And when we add both together, the final return of my investment is clear. Now, based on this, let us try to see what has happened in India. Now, let us keep inflation as the focus and try to see certain valuations that have happened in India over a period of time. If you see the last 40 years, this is the history traced by us for last 40 years in the Indian equity market. Here, the inflation plays a major role. I just use some. Here the inflation plays a major role. So we have an history from 1981 till 2020 of inflation. This is on every 31st of March every year. The gold value of that year, the silver value of that year, the Bombay Stock Exchange on 31st of March, the bank FD of SBI and PPF. What are the average returns that has been generated in different tools over a period of time? If you understand, let us also try to understand the economic, social valuations that has happened during this period. Now, if you try to see with PPF returns, let us try to see with PPF returns. We can divide this into four categories. The pre-90s, when we were a socialistic organization or a country. We were a socialistic country, or what we say, it was a license Raj period, pre-90s. During this, if you see, the average return in PPF is roughly around 12%. As we opened up our economy, the opening of the economy, the early 90s, when Narasimha Rao first brought in Mr. Manmohan Singh as the Prime Minister, as the Finance Minister, and those 5 to 7 years from 1990 to 1995 also saw many scams in the Indian equity market, setting up of the regulatory framework of SEBI and other things. This is the period where again the bank FD rates or the debt rates were very positive or very high. Then we come to the late 90s when we had a coalition government. 15 parties, 20 parties, 30 parties putting together, no one single party having a proper majority. This coalition kept the pressure, this political coalition kept the pressure, and the PF rates were still 12% maintained. 12% maintained. Then came the 2000 when we had a single government era starting in India, and the dot-com bubble happening in 2000, and the interest rates and the economy further opening up further. The interest rates started dropping down. It came to 9.5, 9%, 8% current. And roughly in 2010, the era of open interest rates came into picture, where the first time we have currently the PPF rates or the bank rates directly related to the real market rates. Now here you see the interest rates are further dropping down. During this same period, the same thing has happened to your inflation. The inflation here was roughly around 9%, it came down to 3%, 4%, and currently your current interest rates, inflation rates are around 3.5%. So this all, the political scenarios, the social scenarios do have an effect on inflation, do have effect on the Indian GDP sector, and simultaneously this affects the gold market, the silver market, the stock exchange, and the safe market returns in India. Let us try to see a comparative chart. Let us try to see a comparative chart. Now, during the last 25 years, an average inflation in India is roughly around 6.36%. Roughly around 6.36%. During this time, the Bombay Stock Exchange has given a return of 9.25%. Compounded, CAGR, what we say. And your PPF returns are roughly around 8.85. If you come for a 20 years duration, again the inflation is at 6%. The Bombay Stock Exchange has given a return of 9.5%, and the PPF rates are around 8.8, or your bank FD rates are around 7.3. Now you can draw some inferences here. The first inference that comes here is the relation between inflation and safe market can be roughly around +2. So if I am expecting 6% inflation in India to be over a period of next 15 years, then I can expect my PPF or bank FD or an LIC policy to give me a return of around 8%. If the inflation is I'm expecting to come down to 4%, then simultaneously my PPF rates, my policy rates, my bank FD rates are by default going to fall down. Same way, if you try to see the capital market returns are roughly double to inflation. So at a 6% inflation, it is roughly around 9.5 to 10% in certain period. That means if I'm investing in a capital market, may it be gold, may it be mutual fund, may it be equity, real estate, I can expect a return of around double to inflation. Now, but when I'm looking into double to inflation, this is first time where I come from sensible investment to sensitive investment, and I add risk to my investment. The Bombay Stock Exchange shows you a history in this red column, that over a duration of last 25 years, with a 9% average return in Bombay Stock Exchange, there are roughly 9 years in 25 years when the market has gone negative. So I do carry 30 to 35% duration risk in my investment. So the capital market investment is by default the zero return plus the sentimental investment added put together. The risk roughly in your equity market is around 30 to 35% on duration, not on investment but on duration. That means in a 25 years investment span, there are 5 to 7 years where my money will be negative, and at that time I have to balance my investment with the safe market return. Now this is where you can draw certain inferences. Now, there are certain people who expect I'll get 15%, 20% in mutual fund. That is a short-term return. That is a return. For example, market was at 27,000 on 25th of March, to 37,000. There's a jump of 25 to 30% on the total growth, but that is not going to be permanent. So when you are looking for a short-term opportunity or short-term growth, it makes sense to have a valuation of 15%, 20% in equity market, subject to the sentiment going on currently. But when you move on a very longer period, by default, the uncertainty will take its own toll and the returns are going to drop down. Because as I told you earlier, the work of economy is to balance different asset classes. So it will by default bring the returns of a very high class down. So with this average, this is what average we work with our clients, we have worked with you when we were doing your asset allocation calculations. Let us try to work on this inference further. Let us try to understand the risk return trade-off. It basically starts with the zero risk product. Now, what is a zero risk product? Government bond, PPF, LIC, and your cash in hand is called a zero risk product. Now, what do you mean by a zero risk product? A zero risk product is a product where the capital and the interest accumulated as on date has to come compulsory. For example, I am investing in, let us say, a PPF account for last 12 years, and let us say the bank in which I was investing collapses. In that case, my PPF in that bank should give me the 14 years investment plus the interest part total put together by the government guarantee. It cannot be okay, just take my FD and not the interest component. So the interest component and the principal, which is guaranteed over a period of time, is called a zero risk product. In India, there are 4 products that guarantee you zero risk. government bonds, PPF, LIC, and your cash in hand. Currently, as I told you, the zero risk product in India, the average return, what we say the sensible return in India is roughly around 8% considering a 6% inflation, or on a last 38 years average. Then we come to the nationalized bank, cooperative banks, and the cooperative societies. Here you have a medium risk. For example, nationalized bank, your FDs up to 5 lakhs are protected. Above 5 lakhs, you might not get the FD back if the bank collapses. Cooperative bank, there is no protection. Cooperative society, there is no protection. Here, again, these are income-related products, but you have a medium to low risk under these products. Here, your returns are roughly again in the range of 8.5%. Then you move to the risk category. The risk category specifically is gold, real estate, mutual funds, and private equity. Here, the return in India can be 12% or double to inflation, around with a 30% duration risk that you are going to carry. What does this mean? This means if the market during my investment duration, there can be a period where my market won't perform and the returns won't be available. It can go to minus 12% during that time. So each product has a different risk and return trade-off. This is what we have to look into picture before we go in for any investments, before we take any investment decision. Let us try to, as we know, these are all related to investments. This is not related to investors. These are all related to investments. The discussion that we did so far is about the economy, how the different asset classes in the economy perform, what is the inflation history in India, how there is a relationship between different investment history and the returns of the different products that we are creating. First time, let us move towards you, because when you talk about the external market, it is only about the investment. It is not about investor. It is a common or a general phenomenon. But when I talk about an investor, it is basically related to that individual. That means you and I doing a certain investment. Let us say I am having a PPF account. You are having a PPF account. We start on the same day, but 15 years down the line, your maturity amount might be different than mine, because your investment pattern over the 15 period might be different, and my investment pattern might be different over the period of time. If you look here, the first phase, this first phase shows you the return of any investment over a period of time, last 30-35 years. For example, PPF has given a return of around 8.4. The maturity amount for a 50,000 investment will be around 26 lakh rupees. In the same period, if I have invested in LIC, the maturity amount would be 25 lakh rupees. If I am investing in MF, the maturity amount would be roughly around 26 lakh rupees over a period of time with a 10% tax and VAT. But if I come to the other part, that is liquidity, discipline, personal concerns, and administration, then there is a probability that my returns may vary from any other investment. I'll just show you one small example here and shift you to some different Excel calculations. For example, so this is an investment. I'm investing 10,000 rupees every year in, let us say, SIP, in bank FD, in PPF and LIC. On the 25th year, the maturity amount in, let us say, bank FD, in SIP is around 10 lakh rupees. In bank FD is around 740, in PPF is around 843, and in LIC is around 725 at 8.4 and 8.25% return. But let us say 3 years down the line, I forget to pay my PPF investment. My maturity amount will be 7.82. This is where habit comes into picture. Or let us say I withdraw around, let us say, 20,000 rupees somewhere in between from my investment. My investment will drop down to 6,38,000. So this is where each individual will differ. This is where each individual will differ in the investment history. So when we are doing investment, along with the investments, what is more important is the habits, the discipline, the personal concerns, the administration, how an individual carries it over a period of time. Now this is where we come to the final topic of the discussion. the investment grid. This one slide will try to summarize your total investment discussion that we are having. So we have two different verticals in the investment, or two different intermediaries in the investment: the external issues and the internal concerns or the internal factors. Now, what are the external issues or the factors that affect my investment? Economy that is going to be there, the GDP going up, down, it is going to support me, not support me. The company where I'm going to invest, it is going to be there, amalgamations done, companies taken over. The product that I'm going to invest, if over a period of time, if I feel it is servicing me properly, lucrative, I continue the product or I change. There are roughly 4,000 different products available in the investment industry. Then the technical and administrative services. If the company provides this proper to me, if the advisor provides this proper to me, there is a possibility I continue the product or I switch off the product. And once this total is done, the wealth utilization. Because if doing investment is something different and using investment is something different. So wealth utilization, specifically how I use my education, how I plan my education withdrawals, how I plan my retirement planning withdrawals. And finally, the most important part, wealth transfer and the succession plan. These are all external factors that are going to affect positively and negatively to your investments. They are unbiased. They don't specifically point to an individual investor. They affect all investors commonly. Here, what you do as an investor matters a lot. Your beliefs, your habits, your concerns, and your anxiety. That is the most important part that affects the investment process for you. Now, considering all these things, what you need to do is design a proper process for you under investment. And that is what we say, work on your financial planning process. First and most important part in any investment process is a good outgo management. Understand what is the money that I have, how much I need for my today, how much I should keep for my liquidity, how much should I put for my short-term, mid-term and long-term goals. Work on a proper liability control plan, design a proper liability control plan so that I square off my liabilities as early as possible. Then try to focus on the personal family goal planning process, understand the long-term, mid-term and short-term goals, the money needed to it, the inflation needed to it. Then the most important part, considering the current COVID scenario, your life insurance, your health insurance and the property insurances. Then you need to focus on your different asset allocation classes. As we discussed in the initial phase, you have inflation, that is what you need to focus on. Once you focus on inflation, understand the different asset classes, the equity, the debt market, what product combinations you need to do in the equity and debt market, and then product selection. And then you come to finally the record review and restructuring process, which you know how Dream Invest helps you. This is where, as a Dream Invest, we come into picture, and we support you into the information houses. We help you with the latest updates on the economy, the company, the product. We give you the services available with us, the best services. We have the family office concept where we help you into your taxations, wealth utilizations, and other activities. The most important role for me is investor education and coaching. Keep your anxieties low, keep your beliefs strong, keep your habits strong, and see that you have products that suit your concerns, and then help you as an investment planner. This is what we do very properly at Dream Invest and what we are pioneers into.